My name is Emily. I am 34 years old. I live in a quiet neighborhood with my husband, Adam. We have been married for 8 years. We do not have any children. People think we are a happy couple, but they don't see how quiet our house is. They don't hear the silence between us. When I first met Adam, I felt lucky. He was calm and kind. I liked how he spoke to me. He asked about my day. He made me laugh with small jokes. I remember our first date. We went to a cafe near the train station. It was cold outside, but he brought me hot chocolate and covered my hands with his. "You have the softest hands," he said. I still remember how I smiled. We dated for a year before we got married. I was 26 and he was 30. We didn't have a big wedding, just close family and a few friends. I wore a white dress with small pink flowers. Adam said I looked like spring. In the first years of our marriage, things were good. We went to the market together on Sundays. We watched movies and cooked dinner together. Sometimes we danced in the kitchen for no reason. Adam used to kiss my forehead and say, "You make this house a home." I believed him. I believed in us. But now, after 8 years, things are different. He still lives here. He still eats the food I cook. He still sleeps beside me at night. But it feels like he has already left me. His body is here, but his mind is far away. Every day, I wait for him to come home from work. I work part-time at the town library, so I usually get home first. I light a candle. I play soft music. I cook his favorite meals. I try to make our home feel warm. When he walks in, he says, "Hey." That's all. No hug, no smile, no kiss on the forehead. He walks straight to the living room and sits on the couch with his phone. I bring him a glass of water. He says thanks without looking up. Sometimes I try to talk. "How was your day?" I ask. He shrugs. "Busy." "Did your students behave today?" He says, "Same as always." And then he looks back at his phone. That's the end of our talk. Every night feels the same. Sometimes I wonder, am I boring now? Maybe I'm not beautiful anymore. Maybe I talk too much. Or maybe I don't talk enough. I ask myself these questions, even though I know they are not fair. Last week, I wore a dress I hadn't worn in years. It was green and soft. Adam once told me that green looked beautiful on me. I cooked chicken with garlic and rosemary, his favorite. I baked a small chocolate cake. When he came home, I smiled and said, "I made something special tonight." He looked at the table and said, "What's the occasion?" "No occasion," I said. "Just us." He sat down, ate quietly, and said nothing about the food. He didn't say I looked nice. After dinner, he stood up and said, "I'm going to bed early. I'm tired." He didn't even touch the cake. I sat there, watching the candle burn down. My plate was full. I had no appetite. I felt small, like I didn't matter. The next morning, he left before I woke up. There was no note, No message. The bed beside me was cold. At work, my friend Sarah asked me, "Is everything okay, Emily? You seem sad." I smiled and said, "Just tired." That's what I always say. It's easier than explaining the truth. But the truth is, I feel like I'm fading. A few days ago, I found an old photo of us. It was from our second wedding anniversary. We were at the beach. I was laughing, and Adam was holding my hand. He looked at me like I was the only person in the world. Now he barely sees me. We don't fight. That's what makes it worse. There's no yelling, no anger, just silence. Quiet can be louder than shouting when it's full of sadness. One night, I tried again. I sat beside him on the couch. He was looking at his phone. I put my hand on his arm. "Adam," I said, "can we talk?" He looked at me. "What about?" "I feel like we are growing apart. Like you don't talk to me anymore. Like you don't even see me." He sighed. "I'm just tired, Emily. Work has been stressful." "I understand," I said softly. "But I'm still here. I'm your wife. I miss you." He didn't say anything. He looked away and said, "Maybe you're overthinking." And that was it. He went back to his phone. I sat there, frozen. His words felt like a wall. I couldn't climb over it. I couldn't break it. That night I cried in the bathroom. I didn't want him to hear me. Maybe he wouldn't care anyway. I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red. My face looked tired. I touched my own cheek and whispered, "Do I still matter?" The next day, I didn't make dinner. I didn't light a candle. I didn't ask about his day. And he didn't ask why. He just came in, sat down, and turned on the TV. That silence was my answer. Now, I keep a notebook by my bed. I write down one sentence each night. Not a poem, not a story, just a sentence that shows how I feel. One night I wrote, "I live in a house with someone who doesn't see me." Another night I wrote, "I talk, but no one hears." These words are small, but they hold my pain. They help me understand that I'm not crazy, that I'm not wrong to feel this way. One evening, I walked into the bedroom. Adam was already asleep. I stood there for a long time watching his face. He looked calm. He looked like someone I used to know. I didn't feel anger. I just felt empty. I whispered, "Can you hear me? Can you feel me, still here beside you?" He didn't move. He didn't answer. And deep down, I knew he didn't see me anymore. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? It gives me strength to know someone is hearing my words, someone who understands me. Please tell me in the comments. I would really love to know. The days after that night were quiet, too quiet. I didn't try to talk to Adam. I didn't ask how his day was. I didn't cook his favorite food. I stopped waiting for him at the window. I stopped putting fresh flowers in the vase near the table. I just stopped. I went to work at the library each morning and came home to a man who was always busy, always tired, always somewhere else, but never with me. The silence between us became normal. We still shared a bed, but it felt like there was a wall in the middle. His back was always turned. I looked at that wall every night. I wondered if he even noticed how far I had gone inside myself. Sometimes I asked questions just to hear my own voice. "Do you want tea?" "No, I'm fine." "Do you want to go for a walk?" "Too tired." It was always the same. He never asked me anything in return. Not, "How are you?" Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "What did you do today?" Nothing. One Saturday, I came home from the store. I bought apples, bread, and some chocolate. I also bought a small plant. It had pink flowers and a tiny yellow pot. I put it on the windowsill. When Adam saw it, he said, "What's this for?" "It's pretty," I said. He shrugged. "Just another thing to water." I looked at the plant. It looked brighter than our whole home. That night, I stood in the kitchen and looked around. The dishes were clean. The floor was swept. Everything was quiet and neat. But I felt like a stranger here, like I didn't belong. I remember once, long ago, I asked Adam, "What makes you feel at home?" He had said, "You." Now I felt like the couch made him feel more at home than I did. One evening, I stayed late at the library. My coworker Sarah said, "Want to grab a coffee after work?" I paused. "Sure." We sat at a small cafe near the bus stop. It was warm inside. The chairs were soft. The music was low. It was the most comfort I had felt in weeks. Sarah asked, "Is everything okay with you and Adam?" I looked at my coffee. I stirred it even though I didn't need to. "I think he's forgotten how to love me," I said. She reached out and touched my hand. "I'm sorry, Emily." I nodded. "I just feel invisible. I don't think he sees me anymore. I don't think he even misses me." "You don't deserve that," she said. I looked out the window. The sky was turning pink. People were walking fast, going home. I felt like I had no home to return to. Later, when I did go home, Adam was on the couch again. The TV was playing. His phone was in his hand. "You're late," he said. "I went for coffee," I replied. He said nothing. "No, with who?" "No, how was it?" "No, did you have a good time?" Just silence. I went to bed early. I didn't want to sit beside him on the couch anymore. In bed, I opened my notebook. I wrote, "Today I stayed out longer than usual." He didn't ask why. He didn't even notice I was gone. The next morning, he left early for work. I stayed home. I cleaned the kitchen. I washed the bed sheets. I dusted the bookshelves. While dusting, I found one of his old love letters. It was in a box with our wedding cards. The letter said, Emily, when I look at you, I see everything I want to protect. You are my safe place." I sat on the floor and cried. Not loud tears, just quiet ones that slid down my face without asking. I didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't feel like someone he wanted to protect. I felt like someone he forgot to remember. That afternoon, I walked to the park. I didn't tell Adam. I didn't leave a note. I sat on a bench and watched the ducks swim across the pond. A young couple sat nearby. They were laughing. The man kissed the woman's hand. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I looked away. I felt something deep in my chest. It was not just pain. It was longing. I wanted to feel chosen again. Not just accepted. Not just lived with. Chosen. I walked back home slowly. When I opened the door, Adam was still on the couch. He looked up once. "Where were you?" "Out." He didn't ask anything more. He went back to his phone. I stood there, holding my bag, and I realized something. He doesn't wonder where I go anymore because he doesn't feel my absence. That night, I did not sleep beside him. I took my pillow and went to the small guest room. I closed the door. I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling and asked myself, why am I still here? Do I still believe he will come back to me? I knew the answer. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. That night, sleeping in the guest room, I had a strange dream. I was standing in our kitchen, calling Adam's name. I called again and again, louder each time. But he just sat there, reading a book, not hearing me. I shouted, but he didn't turn his head. I waved my arms. I cried. Nothing worked. I stood in front of him, but it was like I was made of glass. He looked through me, not at me. When I woke up, it was still dark. The silence of the room was heavy. The sheets were cold. My pillow was wet. I had cried in my sleep. I got up quietly, walked into the kitchen and made tea. I held the cup with both hands and stood by the window. The world outside was still asleep. The streetlights glowed. A few birds were waking up. I took a deep breath. Something inside me had changed. It wasn't loud or sudden. It was quiet, like the soft click of a door inside my heart, slowly closing. That morning, Adam walked into the kitchen and saw me standing there. "You didn't sleep in bed," he said. "I know." He waited, but I said nothing else. He took a glass of water, drank it, and walked away. No question. No, "Are you okay?" No, "Why not?" That was the moment I truly knew. He didn't care that I had left our bed. He didn't ask because he didn't feel the space I had left behind. That day, at the library, I couldn't stop thinking about our home, our marriage, myself. I started writing a list in my notebook during lunch. Not a shopping list. A list of what I had done for him over the years. Cooked him hundreds of meals. washed his clothes, sat beside him when he was sick, waited up when he came home late, gave him my time, gave him my heart, gave him my best years, and then, on the other side of the page, I made another list. What he had given me in return lately: silence, distance, excuses, coldness, emptiness. When I looked at the two lists, my eyes filled with tears. I closed the notebook and went to the bathroom so no one would see me cry. I splashed water on my face. I looked in the mirror. I whispered, "Emily, what are you doing?" I didn't have an answer. That evening, I came home, made dinner for myself only, and ate alone. Adam came home late. I didn't ask where he was. He didn't offer an answer. He made a sandwich and sat on the couch. I sat at the table with my book. I could hear the sounds of the TV, but I didn't look at it. After a while, I stood up and said quietly, "Adam, we need to talk." He turned the volume down and looked at me. "I'm tired of this silence," I said. "I'm tired of being invisible. I have asked you for your time. I have asked for your attention, but you don't give it." He opened his mouth, but I raised my hand. "Please let me finish." He closed his mouth and looked down. "I don't feel loved. I don't feel seen. I don't even feel like your wife anymore. I feel like a shadow in this house." He still didn't say anything. I continued. I kept thinking maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was asking too much. But now I see. I was only asking for the basic things. To be spoken to, looked at, held, remembered. I paused. I have been patient. I have been kind. But I can't keep doing this. I can't live like this. He looked up and said, "So what do you want to do?" That question was like a knife, not because of the words, but because of how empty they were. I said, "I want space. I want to find myself again." He frowned. "You're leaving?" "I think I have to," I said. "Not because I hate you, but because I love myself too. And I can't keep disappearing." He didn't stop me. He didn't say, "Please stay." He didn't ask, "Can we fix this?" He just looked away and turned the TV back on. That night, I packed a bag, just the things I needed: a few clothes, my journal, a photo of me and my sister as kids, my books. I left the rest. In the morning, I called a taxi and went to stay with my friend Alice. She opened the door and hugged me. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Thank you." For a few days, I stayed in her guest room. I helped her with dishes. I read books. I sat in her garden. I listened to the wind in the trees. I wrote in my notebook every night. Today I chose myself. It hurts, but it also feels right. Adam didn't call. He didn't ask where I was. He didn't try to bring me back. And that told me everything. One morning, while sitting with Alice, I said, I want to find a place of my own." She smiled. "I'll help you." We found a small flat not far from the library. It had one bedroom, a small kitchen, and a balcony. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I moved in 1 week later. The first night I sat on the floor with a cup of tea. No TV. No phone. Just me. And for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't hurt. It felt peaceful. I lit a candle. I opened the window. I listened to the street below, people walking, birds calling, the sound of life. I whispered, "Emily, you made it." That weekend, I painted one wall yellow. I hung up pictures of the ocean. I bought a soft blue blanket. I put my books on a shelf. I put the pink plant on the windowsill. It looked brighter than ever. Days passed, then weeks. One afternoon, I got a message from Adam. "Hope you're okay." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because I knew something now. I didn't leave him because I stopped loving him. I left because he stopped showing love to me. And love that is not shown, not spoken, not felt, is just an empty word. Now, I wake up early and sit on my balcony with tea. I write in my notebook. I listen to the city come alive. I water my plant. I go to work. I smile more. People say, "You look different, Emily." And I say, "I feel different." Because I am. I feel real again. I feel present. I feel strong. Sometimes I miss the idea of love, but I don't miss the silence. I don't miss the waiting. I don't miss the feeling of being unseen. I don't know what Adam thinks now. Maybe he regrets it. Maybe he doesn't. But I'm not waiting for him anymore. This story doesn't end with a kiss. It ends with a quiet woman standing tall, holding her own hand, walking into a life that she made for herself. If you ever feel invisible in your own home, I hope this story reminds you, you are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to leave the silence. You are allowed to choose yourself.